Hey everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be talking about shipping. So if you've never shipped an animal before, this might be something that you want to watch. Also, we're going to talk about a couple of things that you should take into consideration if this is your first time receiving a snake as a delivery. So stick around. I'm Jack, and this is Python Addiction. And welcome back. Well, today we're going to talk about shipping. And it's going to be a little bit of a twofold thing. We're going to discuss things on how we do things and also give some pointers. If you're new to shipping reptiles, you're newer to the breeding industry, and you've never done it before, and you might be scared to do it, here are going to be some tips and things to make sure that you kind of check off as you're going through and setting things up to ship your animals out to people. The other thing that we're going to be talking about is a couple of things to think about if you're receiving a snake through shipping. If somebody's shipping a snake to you and you've never received one before, things to take into consideration. So we're first going to talk about the shipping out aspect of things. And I have three major topics that I'm going to kind of break down when it comes to this. The first and biggest when it comes to shipping out a reptile that we take into consideration, that all the breeders take into consideration, and something that if you're new to breeding and you're new to shipping, that you'll need to take into consideration is weather. And that's whether your location, where the package is going, and everywhere in between. So you want to take all of that into consideration to make sure that temperatures are ideal. When you're looking at that, you can use any of the major shipping services that are available that have been authorized through FedEx to ship your snakes. Things like Ship Your Reptiles, Reptiles to You. I personally use Redline Shipping as my go-to. They all offer discounts and they're all authorized through FedEx to be able to actually do the shipping. And they all have their own websites and have a lot of alerts and stuff like that to make sure that you're falling within the weather guidelines. But it's always a good thing to check for yourself, especially if you're scheduling something in advance with somebody, to know what the weather is going to be on both ends, and also at the hub where the package is going to go through. Like for me, most of my shipping, since I'm in New York, either goes through the Memphis hub or the Indianapolis hub. So I look at the weather at both of those hubs, depending on where I'm shipping to make sure that the weather at every point that the package is not in flight is going to be okay. So that's the very first thing that you want to take into consideration when you're looking at shipping a reptile. That's why we here have a shipping season that ends mid-October and doesn't start back again until the very end of April, beginning of March normally, because the weather isn't good for shipping during the whole winter season with where I'm at from my location. Maybe fine elsewhere, but from my point of origin, I can't ship out when the weather dips below like 40 degrees. It's just not safe. There are exceptions. If 1 week the weather is actually a good period of time, I may be able to ship out a couple of animals at that point in time, but that doesn't happen that often. So I generally set a shipping season, and I have an on season and an off season for that. And it's also something to consider during the summer months. I know over the course this year, there was a huge heat wave that was throughout most of the Midwest, and a lot of shipping couldn't be done during those heat wave times because it was not safe to ship animals. They were just too hot. So the weather is a very big thing to take into consideration. Next is your shipping supplies. FedEx has rules and regulations that are in place to make sure that packaging is easily identifiable when it comes to your reptiles. Number one, the box needs to be white. And here's an example of a box here. It needs to be white, and it needs green or red labeling or coloring on it as far as that goes. This is a smaller box, so you're going to want to choose the right size box based off from what you're shipping. If you're shipping a small hatchling ball python, for example, like a 7x7 or a 9x9 box is probably going to be fine. If you're shipping something that's a little bit older or something like that, you're going to want something a little bit bigger, like something like this. I use these size boxes pretty much standard. It's easier to just use those standard, but in some cases you're going to need larger boxes. They still need to follow the things correctly. And as you can see here, this is also a part of what you need to, why they have to have certain labeling on it, is the Lacey's laws. So as you can see here, I have listed a quantity of 2 pythons that are going to be in this box, along with the scientific names for the species and their genders. So things that you have to list on the box. And I list it in 2 places just to be extra cautious. But you have to have that white box. And in the box is insulation. And this is 3/4 inch insulation. It can be either white or it can be gray. It depends on where you go to get the boxes. And all of the shipping companies that offer the reptile shipping do also offer boxes. You can also get them at Reptile Basics as well, in bulk. But the other shipping companies offer just individual kits if you're only shipping one snake. And then inside of that, you're going to be needing some type of a padding or packing material that's soft to be able to cushion the snake when you're putting it into the box, because you don't want them bouncing all around. Now, I don't use deli containers to ship any of my snakes. I use bags. Redline Shipping and the other shipping companies all offer their own types of bags. Redline Shipping offers these like plasticky see-through ones. I'm not a huge fan of these because I don't think they create as much of a stress-free environment. They're very airy and they allow a lot of air through, but I don't like how see-through they are. So I use something that I get from Reptile Basics, and I actually put my own logo right on them. But they're just cotton bags. You want to use an appropriate sized bag that fits your snake, but making sure that it's not too much space. You are going to want to take some paper towel, fold it up, put it inside the bag as well, just to give some padding, and chances are, with the vibrations and the moving of the box and everything like that, that your snake may use the bathroom during travel. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the proper type of enclosure to be able to hold a bag, or if you want to use a deli, you can use a plastic deli. Just make sure to, again, stuff it with some paper towels and stuff so the snake's not moving all around while it's being shipped, because you don't want them bouncing around in it. So that's the biggest part of getting all of the supplies and making sure the weather is right. The next part is understanding during this whole process, again, the weather is important. So you may need cold packs. This is one type that I use. I actually get them in a box of 100, and you just soak these in some water for a couple of minutes. They soak up the water, then you freeze them. You have a cold pack. You can also use, and this one, when it comes to heating, I'm saying this now because it's getting to the colder season, so the heat packs are kind of more necessary now than the cool packs are, is you want to get these very specific reptile-based heat packs. These are longer lasting heat packs. Do not use hand warmers, please. Under no circumstance should you ever use hand warmers when shipping your animals. And the reasons for that is those get exponentially more hot than these do quicker. They don't last as long. These last, you can get 40-hour ones, 60-hour ones. Generally speaking, you're shipping overnight. You shouldn't need anything that lasts more than 40 hours. Again, you can get a lot of the supplies right through name your choice supplier. Again, everything that I go through, I either use Reptile Basics to get most of my supplies, or if I have to, I'll use Redline and get the supplies there. But with this heat pack, for example, or the cold pack, when you're putting them into the enclosure for the box to ship it out, you're actually going to want to tape it to the underside of the foam that's going to be laying on the top. And here's a picture of the heat pack, for example. That red line needs to be what's facing down. So when you're taping it, we're going to pretend this is the actual heat pack. When you're taping it, you're going to tape it on the edges because you need that whole fabric surface to be able to radiate the heat. It'll radiate the heat downwards into the actual box when you're shipping it. If you're doing a cold pack, same concept. Like this one's not actually filled up right now. It's dry, but same thing. Once it's frozen, take some tape, and I normally wrap the tape all the way around the whole styrofoam, every direction, and leave this part exposed. These frozen ones, they won't leak. They have a one-way membrane, so it'll retain the moisture, but when it's cold, it'll help to keep things cool, and the hot one helps to keep things hot accordingly. Make sure that you have the distance, so when you're packing the container, you want to make sure that there is, and you can use, I like to use like the bear stuffing stuff. You can use the bear stuffing. You can use craft paper if you want to use craft paper, because you're creating an area to where the animal isn't moving around or bumping up against the sides. But you're putting the animal inside there, and then you're putting a little bit more of this stuff on the top, and then when you're putting the actual lid on it, there's that separation between the animal and the actual whatever is giving off the cold or the heat. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing, especially when you're using the heat packs, is to put holes. And you can see here, I have holes on every side, a vent hole on the top. You want holes in each side because those heat packs use oxygen as the catalyst to get them warm. If you don't have enough holes or ventilation in there, it can create an area to where it can suffocate your animals. So make sure that there's proper ventilation, and that allows for even oxygen exchange. Don't think just because you're closing it up that there's actually enough actual oxygen exchange, because in most cases there will not be enough, and it can cause problems. And the last thing is prepping your snake and making sure you're selecting hub to hub. When I say prepping your snake, make sure that they haven't eaten in the last few days. I generally recommend 3 to 5 days prior to shipping as their last meal, which it gives them enough time to actually start the digestion process and helps to prevent any potential regurgitation. And the other thing you're going to want to do, and here's a little video here, and as you see, this first video, I'm just showing you the temperature of the water, because I do use a temperature regulation system to keep the water regulated, but the depth of the water is very shallow. And then in this next clip, I have one of my bells that is going to be going out just in the water, just to show you the water only needs to go up about 1/2 the height of the snake. And you leave them in there for about 30 minutes for them to get a drink before they're actually ready to go out. And you can do this earlier part of the day. You want to just make sure that they're very well hydrated before you ship them, because they're going to go 24 hours, 26 hours-ish, depending on hub-to-hub situations, without anything to drink. And if there is, God forbid, some type of a delay from one of the facilities, that they may go more than 24 hours without anything to drink. So you want to make sure that they're very well hydrated. And that's what I do for every animal that goes out before they go out, is they get a nice 30 to 40 minute soak to where they can drink all the water that they want. So you have your animal prepped as far as that goes. When you're putting them into the snake bag itself, you're going to put them in, tie it off. I always put a zip tie around and make sure that it's nice and tight at the very end of the bags before when you're going through to ship it. Now, things to take into consideration when you're shipping out. Number one, always choose hub to hub. This minimizes the amount of exposure to any outdoor elements, exposure to temperatures that are in the vans and everything that they use to transport packages. The actual hubs themselves are temperature regulated, so you don't have to worry as much about being over or underexposed when it comes to heat and cold. So they're more like offices, so they're going to be more room temperature types of situations in that regards there. The other thing you're going to want to take into consideration is the time that you're bringing your packages to your hub. So when I say hub to hub, that means you're going to drive to your hub to ship things out. So you're getting your package to its closest destination to being able to get onto that plane and into the system. And then it's going to go through the system, and then it's going to exit and get to the closest hub to where it is to whom you're shipping to. For me, I'll drive it out. I try to get there at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, between 3:30, 4 o'clock. And the reason for that, their last pickup, or their pickup to actually go to the airport, is at 5 o'clock. So I want to make sure that my package is in their hands at around that, closer to that time. It reduces stress. It's less amount of time that the animal is in that situation of going through the shipping process and everything like that. So that's the shipping process itself. Using one of the approved companies to actually print your label, and then you'll be able to get it all taken care of that way. Again, I use Redline shipping personally, but you can use any of the approved carriers, and they're all pretty much the same when it comes to the process. They offer different perks as far as the insurance guarantees, and it's normally only a couple of dollars per $100 value on the animal that you're shipping when it comes to the DOA guarantees and stuff like that. So on the flip side, as a receiver, make sure that you know what facility or hub your animal is being shipped to, and plan accordingly for traffic and delays and weather and everything like that. Before you're receiving your new animal, make sure that you have an appropriate enclosure already all set up and ready to go. Don't expect to be receiving an animal and then go get everything. It's better to have everything already all set up and fired up, temperatures where they need to be, humidity where it needs to be, and follow accordingly. So when you're going out to the hub and picking up the animal, go into your vehicle. Don't wait. Take out your phone, do an immediate recording of opening up your box as soon as you possibly can to make sure that the animal is safe and healthy, and just do it that initial check. It's best to do the recording at the same time because that'll also help to, if there is a unforeseen instance of a snake passing away during shipping. It can happen. It normally doesn't, but there are certain circumstances that are completely out of our control, so you have to just account for that and understand that that can happen. And recording right when you're getting the package and opening it up is going to be the easiest way to document that, so the breeder that you purchased everything from has that documentation, and everything can be communicated to the shipping company that was used to ship the animal to you, so all of that kind of stuff can get handled accordingly. So once you're getting everything home, that you already have the enclosure set up and everything's ready to go. Once you get them home, I suggest putting them into a warm water soak, similar to what I showed earlier, so they can rehydrate again and gives them a chance to kind of acclimate to the surrounding temperature and warm back up a little bit depending on what time of the year you're getting your package and everything like that, and then putting them into their enclosure. I also do advocate, if you have more than one reptile, in making sure to quarantine anything new, no matter who you're getting it from. Because from point A to point B, even if the seller itself doesn't have mites or anything like that, you have no idea when it comes to the package handlers and everything else in between, if somebody is a reptile keeper or if they have mites or whatever the case may be. So it's a very good practice to do quarantining as well. If you want me to do a video on quarantining, please do put it in the comments below. I would be happy to do a video on that and at least what my process is, and let me know. But otherwise, that's today's video, was discussing the shipping aspect of things. If you liked this video, please do hit that like button, as that lets me know that you like this type of stuff and I can do more of it. If you're not already subscribed, please do hit that subscription button. And while you're at it, click that notification icon, as that'll let you know when I do new videos. I tend to do at least one video a week. And lastly, I am running a couple of giveaways. I do have my goal to reach 1,000, which I'm still praying that things skyrocket up and we get closer to that 1,000 subscriber goal. Currently at 372-ish as I'm recording this particular video, and I can hope. If not, that will likely just keep rolling until we hit 1,000 subscribers for that particular giveaway. But the other giveaway that I am running for the tool plaque will be drawn on September 30th. I will do a live stream to do that drawing, and the winner will be selected from anyone who follows my Morph Market page at that point by the 30th. So I'll do that drawing probably around 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on September 30th. So if you haven't followed me by then, please do so before that time, and you'll be entered in to win this plaque. Here's a picture of it up here. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack, and this is Python Addiction.